Taste of Country Nights with Evan Paul on demand, Season 2, Episode 31 with Gretchen Wilson.
Even though I love all different genres of music, when I open my mouth, it comes out hillbilly. So that's probably what...
Can you believe it's been 20 years since Redneck Woman came out? Gretchen Wilson stopping by to celebrate that. As you can imagine, anything goes when Gretchen Wilson's in here. She has some pretty strong opinions on some things, and she is not afraid to talk about them, and I was excited to dig in. Thanks for checking out this interview that you're about to listen to with Gretchen Wilson. If you want to go back and listen to past interviews, we've had Dasha on talking about her song Austin recently. Jason Aldean was in here, Kelsey Ballerini, Brantley Gilbert. Just go to wherever you get your podcasts and search for Taste of Country Nights on demand. Taste of Country, hanging out with Gretchen Wilson. What's happening?
Hi, how are you?
I'm
All kinds of
doing good.
things are happening.
I know. I want to talk about the new song.
Okay.
So give me the whole story behind it from beginning to end.
Okay, Little Miss Runner-Up is the title of the new single. Isn't it crazy? After 20 years in this business, I've got a new song.
It's awesome.
I'm so
I
happy.
think that's great.
I'm so happy to just still be here.
Of course.
It is a song that I wrote with the same two Nashville amazing country songwriters that I wrote Homewrecker with.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little bit of a continuation of that story. I would say that it's definitely the same type of girl, the same type of chick that we all love to hate. The one that just comes in, she just walks in the door ready to ruin your night. She got dressed to ruin your night, to make your life just miserable. And we all have a friend like that. We all know. Sometimes it's us, Sometimes it's us that has to get mopped up off the floor and carried out to the cab. So we all know one, and she's a pain in the but we all still love her and we all take care of her. So it's that kind of a story. Getting ready to film a video on it in a couple of weeks, so have that to look forward to. And hopefully the video then will give more of a coloring and a description of what really is going on in that song.
Okay, where are you headed next musically? In this direction or what's like? Yeah,
I think there's always been one direction for me. I love all kinds of music. I think people would even be surprised if they knew what I listen to when I'm
Let's hear it.
Sometimes I just turn on the mellow classic rock and roll, and I listen to some old classic rock when I'm cleaning the house and that kind of stuff. And other times I'll turn it on big band. And just, and I live with my 4 dogs, and they know I'm crazy. It's okay. I dance around in my pajamas and sing to them. I've got songs that I've made up just for them, like Stinky Doodle Dandy Doggy Puppies. And so yeah, it's a regular old crazy lady's life, But yeah, so much going on. Musically, I think I'll stay. Even though I love all different genres of music, when I open my mouth, it comes out hillbilly. So that's probably what. I'll stick with that.
Yeah. I want to take you back to CMA Fest when you were on stage with Ashley McBryde.
Wow.
What was did you enjoy that moment?
Oh, who wouldn't? First of all, Ashley and I had phone tagged a couple of times talking about getting together to write. We never did make that happen. And so our first real experience around each other was that CMA night. And she's exactly who I thought she was going to be. I was so impressed with her. She's funny. She's got an amazing presence being around her. I love everything about her, and I can't imagine having done that and reintroduce myself to that crowd with anyone but her. And so we're definitely going to get together and write. And now that we've made that connection, I think that we're off to the races as far as what we might be able to do together.
Okay. Do you see anything in her that you saw in another artist, say 20 years ago?
No, I don't. I think she's very unique. I think Ashley is really uniquely herself. She's maybe me. Maybe me. I think I see a little bit of myself in her, but I don't know that I could say that there's anybody else that I think she's like. She's a force to be reckoned with, and maybe people were saying that about me back in the day. I really don't know.
I would say so.
I think the coolest thing about this 20-year later thing was just the media that I did for the CMA Fest, watching some of the younger artists walk by me and whispering and going, "That's her. That's the Redneck Woman. That's Gretchen Wilson." And then they would almost bow to me, and I was looking over my shoulder. Who are they? Who's here? Who are they talking about? And it took me a minute to realize, oh, they're talking about me, and that was me 20 years ago walking around going, oh my God, there's so-and-so and there's so-and-so. And it was like, oh my, that's, they're talking about me. And I remember saying in one of the interviews, this is strange and it's kind of a new shoe to wear, but I'm going to make it fit. I'm just so happy to be here and to still be relevant 20 years later. There's not many of us that get to say that.
There was another artist that had something to say about you recently that actually stopped by. I wanted to play that for you. Let's see here.
I think I might know what this is.
To be really honest, it was like I kind of felt like I was just doing my own thing for the longest time. We all compete for radio airplay at that time. We're all competing. I remember hearing Redneck Woman for the first time and I went, oh, shit.
Here we go. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That one kind of got me a little bit. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
What a hit, though. I love huge, Gretchen.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for her. But, yeah, that was kind of a whoo. Wow, I better strap on my seatbelt. Here she comes.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I love Terri. We hit it off right off the bat. And that's really sweet of her to say that. But I had those moments, whenever Carrie Underwood came along, oh boy, and we've had several of them. But, we all support each other. Terri brought, my first time playing the Ryman, she brought me like 4 bottles of whiskey and a whole case of Skoal.
That's awesome.
So she must not have disliked me too much.
I want to talk about Carrie Underwood. So did you feel the way Terri felt about you toward Carrie Underwood?
I think every woman in country music probably had a little bit of fear when that voice came out. I mean, she's also a force to be reckoned with, just powerhouse of a singer. But I didn't have that. I don't know that I was very fearful just because we're so different. Okay. I felt like, okay, she's going to own that slicker side of country music. And so that just kind of made me want to get rougher.
Okay. Did you, what did you, is it more difficult to be authentic in 2024 than it was 20 years ago?
I think it's difficult to be anything. It's more difficult to be anything in 2024. I'm not even sure what language I'm allowed to use anymore. I just come from such a backwards sort of a family, absolute, people like, were there racists in your family? Yes, of course there was. My grandpa hated everybody that wasn't exactly like him. So I don't even know if you call that racist. He was just so completely closed off. Ignorance is what I call that because he never went anywhere. He didn't know anybody. He was not worldly, So, I don't know. I think the times are pretty nuts right now. I try to be as politically correct as I can everywhere I go, but I got to be honest, the whole I don't know whether I'm calling you a they or a he or a she, that part is just beyond me. I'm fine with it, but you're going to have to be consistent. You're going to have to wake up every day and be the same person, or else don't get upset with me when I don't get it right because you changed your mind from yesterday to today. So, yeah, I feel like I don't know how to be anything other than authentic.
That's fair.
And that's what I'm going to stay being. And what I think if we lived in a world where we could just be a little bit nicer to each other if you make a mistake. Look, if you want to be called this, I'm fine with that. But if I make a mistake, don't hate on me. Just say, that's incorrect.
What mistakes would you say new artists are making nowadays? Do you see like a common mistake?
Ooh, for me, and maybe it's because I'm an old lady, I'm 51 years old, I feel like that they share too much. I feel like there's no exclusivity to being an artist anymore because everybody shares everything about themselves. And maybe I just feel like I'm too boring, but you will not see me on my social. I only say things when there's something to be said. I'm not like getting up going, well, today I'm going to do this. And
okay.
It's like, I am not that important, and people have lives to live. So, I feel like people share too much.
Okay. Now let's talk about like artists that come over to country. There's been a lot of that recently, like Post Malone is one of the newer ones. How do you feel about that? There's some that come over that make it, like Darius Rucker. There's some that come over that don't make it.
Right.
What's the difference and how do you feel about it?
That's a really tough question. I sometimes feel like in country music, we're kind of like the border, a little too wide open. We just, everybody come on in, we're going to, I get that feeling. But then there's other moments where I'm like, I'm so glad that country music is so all-encompassing and that we have so much of a variety for people to listen to. I mean, I feel like it's one of those things, like if you don't like this song, well, you'll turn it off. You'll find another one that you do like. But country music has become so wide that if you can't find some part of country music that you like, well, there's kind of something wrong with you. I mean,
there's like subgenres now.
There is. And I may fit into one little piece of that, but as far as I can see, there's still an audience for that one little sliver of country music.
All right, take me back 20 years ago. Do you remember where you were the exact first time you heard Redneck Woman on the radio?
I do.
Let's hear it.
I was still living in a rental house. They had repossessed my vehicle that morning. The guy was nice enough, though, because, you don't get no money until you're out there touring. So the song comes out and you're still sitting there penniless. And so the car, it was a little red rodeo, and it was
a Zuzu.
Yes, yeah, and it was repossessed. But the guy was nice enough. He took it at 4 a.m. and he knocked on the door because there was a child seat in the back, and he didn't want to take off with my car seat, so he let me get the car seat out. Wasn't that nice of him? And when I started the car, as he was getting ready to hook it up, Redneck Woman was playing on the radio.
Stop it!
Yep.
For the first time
That's
heard it?
the first time I heard it on the radio, and when my car was being repossessed and I was getting the child seat out of the back. And I immediately called my brother back home in Illinois because he said, it's pipe dream. This is never going to happen for you. Get a real job.
What?
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
He was in tears. He's like, I heard it too.
What did you have
up here?
What did you say to the tow truck driver? He's probably like, whatever.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't think he believed me. I was like, that's me on the radio. No.
Whatever. Who in country music accepted you immediately after that?
I mean, I don't know that I can go back and just say that it was. I got accepted before that, really, by the people that I was reaching out to, Hank Jr., Kid Rock. It was that outlaw group that really sort of, and then separate from that, completely in a different way, because I lived in Wilson County, Tennessee, I got just the bear hug from, that lasted forever from Charlie Daniels and his wife Hazel. They lived real near to me, and I'm still very close with Hazel. We text a lot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know that there's a better group of people, to have. These were my heroes. The outlaw country music was my thing. I grew up listening to that, actually hiding in my Uncle Vern's room and pushing the dresser in front of the door because touching his record player, you get your butt whipped for that. So I had to put the dresser in front of the door and play the music, But yeah, I was accepted by my heroes, and it was astonishing to me. Still is.
Jason Aldean was here not too long ago, and he was talking about when he came up back with Big and Rich and how they were good friends back in the day. You kind of came up with Jason Aldean in the same time. Were you guys friends?
No, I don't even. I mean, I know we've met several occasions, but no, we're Big and Rich and the Music Mafia was kind of my whole world. Yeah, and I was writing a lot with a lot of hit songwriters, but it took me a while. Every record label here turned me down at least once, a couple of them twice. So I was really getting frustrated. Yeah, that's where the conversation of I need to just quit. Go on home, and that's when we wrote Redneck Woman.
Wow. Taste of Country recently did a country music's best fighting songs. You had one on there. Can you guess what it was?
Fighting songs? No.
It was the earring song.
Oh yeah, don't make me take my earrings out. 'Cause I'll show you what a cat fight's all about.
You ever been in a real deal fist fight?
Oh yes. Too many to count.
Recently? When's the last time?
I would say the last time I was in a knockdown, drag-out, bar brawl type situation would have been probably 25 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, right before things started happening for me.
I always ask guy artists when's the last time they got punched in the face. Have you ever been punched in the face?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. How's that feel?
Not too good. But see, I'm from a little town where the fighting gets dirty. I mean, I was taught to fight by my Uncle Vern, and it's dirty fighting. I mean, you definitely don't want to get into it with me because I'm nasty that way. I'll pull your shirt up over your face and start hitting you with a pool stick.
You have like one of the most, we talked about this earlier, like iconic voices in country music. Do you find, are people like scared to duet with you?
I don't know. I mean, I've done several.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, in my inbox at home, I've got I got to sign a legal sheet, so that I can be used on Ira Dean's got a project coming out soon, and I did a vocal on one of his things. So,
oh, cool!
It's a great song, actually. But yeah, I have to sign off that yes, you can use my voice.
Okay.
I have no idea when it's coming out, but I get asked to sing harmonies on lots of projects, and I don't really. Because I usually have a competing project out at the same time, I don't make a lot of mention about it, you know. So,
do you still have the zero-turn mower?
I don't. I sold a piece of property, and they wanted all of it. They wanted my mowers, they wanted my pool table, they wanted my pool sticks. I had to leave like a lot of my stuff in that house when I walked away, but I'll probably replace it soon.
Wow, so you sold the whole house.
And most of the things in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, what's next for you coming up 2024?
Well, this year was kind of me just getting back out there after a few years of hiatus, just proving to myself that I can still do this. So that's why, taking this 20-year anniversary with Big and Rich on the road just seemed like the perfect, smart thing to do. But it wasn't too stressful on me. Because we're doing it together.
Right.
But it's been a very successful year. I'm having a blast. I feel healthy. I feel good. I feel strong. And so I'm in the process of putting my own thing together again for next year. I'm going to hit the road, and I'm going to get back at it.
You got a full album coming?
I haven't decided whether we're in that atmosphere or not.
Okay.
I'm not really sure. I think I need to kind of ask the fans, do you want me to throw you a song every once in a while? Do you want an actual piece of work? Do you want, I don't really know. The times have changed so much that I don't know that putting an actual full 10-track or 12-track album together is what is the right thing. I'm not really sure.
I love the song. I mean, if you're putting together something with all stuff like that, do it.
There are some other things sitting there that I'm like, maybe they'd like this.
We
one.
need this. Yeah, we definitely need it right now. So that's cool.
Well, I appreciate that, and like I said, I couldn't be more thrilled that people they still care, and
course.
still want to hear what I have to say.
Yes. Well, thanks for stopping by. We do appreciate you.
Thank you very much. And if you get to Terri on the line again, tell her I said thanks, and no worries.
Okay, we will. All right, let's get Billy Dukes in here to talk about this one. Man, this was crazy. This was cool to have such a legend. I'll get into that in a minute, how Gretchen Wilson affected my life, but go ahead.
Well, we did this whole other thing afterwards, and the video is going to be coming too, where we sat Gretchen down to kind of rewatch her Redneck Woman video.
Yeah.
And stop and start and go behind the scenes. And there's a lot of BTS that's super cool about that. But it was also just kind of cool getting her to reflect on like her 20 years ago self, because she's like, yeah, I recognize that girl. She was pretty awkward, pretty scared at the time. And you didn't get that at all at the time with Gretchen Wilson. She was so in your face in the moment. But she's a human.
Did I hear her tell you that she probably hasn't watched the video in years, like decades?
Yes.
She doesn't watch it, and that was crazy to hear that.
I was surprised by that too, but I think a lot of artists are like that, where they don't go and watch their catalog, sort of like that. Like, I don't know, do you watch your old interviews? No.
No.
I
mean, no.
You listen to them?
No. No,
I don't either.
No. Yeah, but I get it. But I feel like if I had a music video, I probably would watch it. I don't know.
Well, you would think too, it's 20 years and they're making a little bit of a celebration, like maybe in preparing some content for socials or something. Maybe she would have watched it again or something for that. But it was interesting that she had. It was fun to go back through it with her.
Yeah, that song really hit home. That was the first, one of the first songs that I was introduced to this fierce country to. I had known of Tim McGraw and all them back then in 2003. But when this came out, I was dating this girl named Rhonda, and she was a redhead. And I just remember being at her apartment and this was on, and you couldn't tell anybody, anywhere, anything.
Yeah.
It was, and that was wow. And then this song crossed over to pop almost, in a lot of southern cities. It was
a weird way it did.
Song. Yeah.
It was enormous. You really can't undersell how big of a moment that was. And then right on the back of it was Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. Those were bang, bang.
Oh, yeah.
And those, it was, I don't know that we've had a country music. Maybe Jelly Roll is the closest we've had to taking country music by storm in that kind of way. But Gretchen's was even more so because it was so quick.
Yeah.
Like it was just a matter of 2 or 3 months.
I mean, you can't go to a real club, like not even like a bar or a honky tonk. Like if you go to like a club in a city somewhere throughout the night, you're going to hear Redneck Woman or the Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy,
Yep.
like all the time.
Yep.
You know, and they cut the music down, Save a Horse, Ride a Cow, and it's the same thing. Like it's crazy to me how these artists translate, but do they make a comeback? We'll have to see if Gretchen does with her new song.
Yeah, I don't know that she's looking to like make a comeback and be on top of the charts again. Like she's probably in that part of her career where she's just looking to kind of create songs that are engaging her audience to kind of continue to drive the live show. But the other thing you have to realize about like 2004 in country music is like there hadn't been a women with the number one song in like a year or two, and it was all partially because this was a year, maybe 14 months after the Dixie Chicks kind of were banned from radio for insulting President Bush. So that was the climate back then, right? You had a lot of people, a lot of anger towards the Chicks for what they said about the Bush. And then you had this conservative leaning song in Redneck Woman that just spoke great. So like she was throwing meat to the tigers in a lot of ways. And I don't mean that as pejorative in like the bad sense, but it was right what people were looking for at the time. It was right what people, country music and country radio wanted, and that helped. And it was so fresh sounding too, out of like the pop sound of like Faith Hill, McBryde a little bit as well. Like it was just so fresh for so many different reasons that it was like a no brainer.
Was that before like Man, I Feel Like a Woman?
No, that was after. Gretchen came after Man.
And what about like That Don't Impress Me Much?
Yeah, all of Shania's songs. So Shania's last real album until the one she released just a few years back was in 2003. That was the Up album. And that was songs like Forever and For Always and Up and I'm Gonna Get You Good. So you're talking late 90s or maybe 2000 with the Shania hits that we know.
Yeah, those were on like pop. Those were crossed over. Like those were huge.
So that was what she was kind of responding to, the Shania Twains, the Faith Hills and there were some other artists as well. Like she was sort of running counter with that. And then a year, and Gretchen alluded to it, about 18 months later came Carrie Underwood and the American Idol craze. And Gretchen Wilson became so much the Redneck Woman. And she had a number of other hits that and she had about a 3-year window where she was really cranking it. And then I think she released maybe 1 or 2 songs that didn't do that well. And I think people kind of turned a little bit on her, and radio programmers did, or stopped kind of giving her a chance. But she still released some great songs. Even 2010, 2011, 2012, she released some songs that radio didn't touch, but they were lyrically good, vocally still good. She's still a great vocalist. Like, she just kind of got pushed out of the conversation a little bit, which is sad.
Yeah, I feel like she represents like more of like the blue collar type, seems to be making like Jelly Roll. Like I could see a Jelly Roll Gretchen Wilson song, a Jelly Roll Gretchen Wilson tour. I feel like artists like that share a lot of similarities. So like, why not? I don't know. She was ahead of her time, obviously. It sounds like she was ahead of her time with that.
And she never did interviews really to this extent that she's done. But now that she's done them, she's a little bit like Jelly Roll, where she's an open book. Like she'll answer just about any question you give her in an honest way. And I think she finds some nuance in like getting her message across. And we heard that. Like she hard pivoted into like gender identity. Like that wasn't a question you prompted her for sort of anyway. But I think what she was saying, a lot of people can kind of identify with. And we kind of not joked, but we talked back and forth like, do we want to put a headline on that? Like Gretchen Wilson. I don't really. I want people to kind of ingest that within the full context of the interview, because that's how it's like best distilled. And you kind of understand what she was truly trying to say. Because otherwise, you're going to get you're going to get a lot of comments either way. Then none of them, it's going to be really pretty. And then we got a big controversy on our hands. And that wasn't what she was doing there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's nice of you and us. Because, I mean, with the footage, once it's out there, I don't know.
Right. I know.
There's other people that are going to maybe write that stuff. But I don't know.
You think of where she came from. Like, very, very small town. No one in her family had any sort of education. I think she dropped out of like 8th grade.
I saw she dropped out in 9th grade, but before that had been like 8 different schools
And she was working in a bar by the time she was like 13.
Yeah, I mean, this is the real deal, like stepping on glass barefoot type stuff.
And like she even talked about like her family was full. So like for someone like that came from that background to get to the point where she's like, okay, listen, I'm trying to listen and understand and be open-minded and politically correct. Like I'm sensitive to that. Like I think that's progress. No, she's not leading the charge there, but I don't think you can expect someone who came from where she came from to sort of lead the progressive charge in that sort of sense.
Yeah, but I mean, within the statements that she made, both about racism and LGBTQ and all that, there was no hate. She just delivered it a little bit edgy, you know, like she is accepting of it. And she thought that her grandpa, she went into how her grandpa didn't make it in life and never went anywhere because he couldn't get over the thought of that. So, I mean, it's just how she said it. Some people, like you said, taken out of context could make it abrasive, you know, but I mean,
when they're words flat on paper, they don't, you don't get that.
People are going to do it though. If they, I don't know. I
thought the story she told, and maybe she's told this story before about the first time she heard Redneck Woman.
That was cool.
That is a great story.
We Googled it and we can't find it anywhere. So that is crazy to me that there's so many different factors. Like peel away the music part, that the tow truck driver was cool enough because he saw a baby seat to wake her up. And then, I mean, just the fact that you come out in the middle of the night to take your baby seat out of the car before it gets repoed and your song is on the radio. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like you can't, that's a book right there. Like, I don't know.
I think we've talked several times on this podcast about artists who are willing to answer the questions after like something happens. Like that's the true sign of not being afraid is like, and Gretchen Wilson's an example of that. She was in here several years ago. It was 2 days after she got arrested at the airport. She sat there on the couch and she answered all my questions on camera, candidly and honestly, and then came back and did another interview. She wasn't ticked off about the coverage she got for it. Like she showed up. And when artists do that, so much respect.
Yeah,
so much
that's
respect
the real deal, you know.
So like whether you agree with someone like Jason Aldean's politics, either way, or if you don't agree, he shows up and answers the questions.
Well, here's two things. Something they both have in common, Jason Aldean and Gretchen Wilson, is that they both tout that they're not on social media a lot. And I feel like now there's something to this because I feel like if I'm somebody that has money in the bank, right? I'm sitting on cash and I'm not on social media. I don't go and read the newspaper. I stay offline for the most part. I'll just go do interview after interview and say whatever the hell I want.
I never have to.
What do I care? I'm not reading YouTube. What is YouTube? I'm not reading Instagram. So there's something that those two share in common. And maybe it's the I mean, I don't want to say because it'll get ignorance is bliss. I'm not saying they're ignorant. I'm saying the ignorance of not being on social media is bliss.
Jason Aldean you're referring to, that was the interview you did with him just a few weeks back where he said the one thing he would get rid of in country music is social media. And that caught on in a number of different places and kind of got some comments, people pointing out that he's pretty active on social media.
Yeah, well,
especially Instagram, and a lot of
they're saying his wife, too, because his wife. A lot of I don't know the comments are crazy. Like you said, he probably doesn't even see them, but maybe he does because Brittany sees them. But there's a way to get in there and drop what you want to say and get out. It's old school, man. You know, unless you see it on a headline of the USA Today paper.
I think it's worth a follow-up next time Jason comes in like, hey, so this social media thing, we noticed that you actually are on social media a little bit. Kind of want to explain kind of what you're getting at there.
I don't know.
We'll see. Next time he comes in, if that's one of the top questions we want to ask.
But I'll tell you can go back and listen to the interview we're referring to about Jason Aldean. If you just search for Taste of Country Nights on demand, wherever you get your podcasts, we have that and all of our past interviews with all of your favorite country artists.